Okay, ladies and gentlemen, Shadowmoon.
News from the front.
Let's try this again.
Plant your banner and claim your destiny.
I can open up a portal to Stormwind only briefly.
Oh, so we could just bring in reinforcements from Stormwind.
People is not misplaced.
Cool.
I assure you, my prophet, the commander we've chosen represents the very best of the Alliance.
All right, come on through. Steady, steady.
This is it, boys. Let's break some ground and take this world for the Alliance.
Yep, let's take this world for the Alliance. By the way, yes, that's Barros Alexton from Vanilla. Most people probably didn't even recognize this guy. He was part of one of the Shadowmoon's quests.
My men are standing ready.
Sort of. This is Draenor. A bit darker than expected. Yeah. Still, after building Stormwind, this project should be a walk in the park. Okay. Not gonna comment on that.
For the Alliance. We've got a lot of work to do.
Alright, so, some of the trees around here look small enough that the workers should be able to down them in no time. We'll leave the hard labor to Shelley's men, but if you'd be willing to mark the trees, we should be able to get this operation rolling much faster.
If you mark those trees, Shelley's lumberjacks will do the rest.
See that there's a gigantic raven just past the tree line. I'm not getting anywhere near that. In fact, I'm not sure any of my men are sufficiently equipped to deal with a threat like that. You want to handle this one yourself, Commander? Once the ravens are gone, we can start sending more troops into the wood. So you could be killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Or should I say kill 5 birds with... Confused by his own analogy, he scratches his head. You get the point.
We'll get giant killer ravens. I have a feeling it's going to be a long, cold night.
You'll notice they're already kind of breaking the vibe of being stuck out here, but at the same time, not completely breaking it. Like, it kind of still fits, you know, a little bit. A little bit. They send through a couple of troops and a couple of workers, right? And it's like, okay, this is what you get, a couple of workers. And it's like, well, okay. Yeah, something like that, Bladeville. Like, what irritates me the most about this is how relatively easy it would be to smooth this over. A few lines of dialogue would help tremendously. At least until later. Because part of the problem is that this is Warlords, which is the Member Berries expansion. So we will be seeing tons, and I mean tons of reference characters from the rest of the game here. Which means there's just like a subway of people pouring into this alternate timeline in the past. Sorry, spoilers. And like, there's no threat. There's no cut off from everything, right? It's just taking a hop, right?
Ready to work.
It's harder for me to go check my P.O. box than for these people to go to Draenor. No, yeah, they do the same thing on the Horde side.
Ready to work.
Yeah, that is literally the sound file from Warcraft 3. Again, I get the vibe they were going for here. But I have to comment on how ridiculous it is that they're just like, yeah, alright, we're trapped in a hostile alien world, which is a death land, and yeah, we're good. In the Warcraft series, I rewrote this extremely slightly. All I did was not acknowledge any of the future people who come through, and treated it like Khadgar had specifically set up people before he left in order to have them ready to help us build stuff over here. So, pile of supplies, bunch of workers, couple of guards. And they're just standing there in Stormwind and Orgrimmar, waiting and ready for the signal. Portal opens, they rush through, right? And all of them being informed that this is probably a one-way trip. That's it. That's pretty much all it took to fix it right there. Because you'll notice, we don't really need connection with back home, for lack of a better way to put that. I love that. All the trees always fall at the same instant. We've got workers, we've got resources, we've got allies. We've got a base which we're building here, right? again, they changed their mind. It was like, no, direct pipeline to home.
What do you need?
Sure. Have you seen Brightstone? My latest assistant's more than a handful. She takes everything to the extreme. Drinking, talking, rushing from one nest to another. She's a damn fine architect, though. Probably the brightest student I've ever had. I'll give her that. Old world. Whatever.
On it.
Perfect. Not only will this lumber do the job, it'll look fantastic.
An excellent choice of lumber, if I do say so myself.
Yes, I did, Blato.
For the impressive work, Commander. I know I'll sleep a lot better without those giant killer birds flying around.
I like giant killer birds. Let's... Good afternoon, J. Palmer. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I get shut up. And one more. Let's get... That won't give me that, though. Apparently not, J. Palmer. If it is, it's renamed something. Yeah, the thing that... Another thing, and Bragwin just mentioned it, which would have worked a lot better for me. Get rid of the portal completely. Just eject it. Like that. So, we get here with the survivors, which at this point is Murad, us, and Khadgar, by the way. That's the full list. 3. You get 3 minutes, Recker's So have just like the handful of us survive, get to here, and it's like, okay, this is all we've got. And then we have to rely completely on the locals in order to do anything. Now, this not only makes a lot more sense from a narrative side of things, but would also make sense gameplay-wise, because it would automatically give us our first quest arc, wouldn't it? Our first set of goals. Hey, help. And they're like, well... You know, we've never seen you before, but we've heard you're pretty cool, and you just rescued a bunch of our people. So, do a few things for us, and we will help you and loan you workers and resources, right? Yeah, they don't have to make us stuck here gameplay-wise, because that's just have it be out of lore, right? Like, I hate to say that way, because that is cheating, but just do it. Just have the players be able to hearth home and then hearth back at will, and then ignore the lore implications of being stuck out here. Sure, done. Easy fix. And yeah, have this be a Draenei base. The other base is already an Orc base.
It is time to take a stand.
Anyways, whatever. Complaints off. I'm getting reports of a giant in the forest. A few of the... Oh, right. Since you didn't hear me say thank you, Blateval. Thank you, Blateval. And I did jot that down for whatever it was. Dragon Age 4, Pokemon Violet, and Star Ocean. A few of the Kerabor peacekeepers have followed it into a cave. In all honesty, I don't think any of our troops are willing to engage the beast. Maybe you could investigate. I'm sure the peacekeepers would appreciate it.
We must.
Sure, I will help the Draenei allies we have here, so that they will then lend us workers and supplies, so we can build a Draenei base. That sounds like a great idea. Oh. Even Yura agrees. And Yura doesn't like anything I do. Like giving negatives to launches. I mean, the problem is, from a reality perspective, I do understand that you can't prevent a player from hearthing, you know? Like, that is... Okay, I get that. I'm not 100% sure I agree, to be quite honest with you. But I do get that. You probably didn't even notice it, by the way. But when you first start the Draenor experience, there's actually a pop-up that says, hey, when you get out there, you're going to be stuck there for a long time and won't be able to come back. Are you sure? That's a holdover from back when you actually were stuck in Draenor. Which was, I don't know which iteration of it was one of the betas. That was the thing. They left that warning in for essentially no reason, because it's completely untrue at this point. They probably left the warning in because it would take more effort to take it out.
Faith is my mirror.
The base is...
Will is my weapon.
The base is significantly more secure with that giant did. They've made quite an impression on the peacekeepers.
Please. With the giant defeated, we shouldn't have any more trouble clearing out the area.
Yeah, like it or not, that's why I suggested my compromise. Completely state that in lore you're locked away, and then just let people hearth. If you don't want to hearth because you like immersion, cool, don't hearth. If you want to hearth because you're a whiny baby, I mean because you want to go back to the old world, then go ahead and do it. And just make it be one of those MMO things, right? We already kind of mentally gloss over a lot of things in MMOs that don't happen in lore. This is just another one. Yeah, exactly, Huthor. There's no, the portal rooms in Stormwind and Orgrimmar do not exist in lore. Those portal nexi, those are completely gameplay conceits. Gameplay conceits I am in favor of. It's worth noting. But those do not exist in lore. In lore, if you want to get from Orgrimmar to, say, Pandaria, you got a trip ahead of you.
Just say the word, Commander.
There's actually lore in the game that specifically talks about how controlling the Kirin are about portals in general, and how much work and effort they put into making sure that the things like those portal rooms do not exist. Yeah, Anduin gave Bane a Hearthstone in one of the novels, and that was a big deal, because remember, there's hardly any Hearthstones in lore. And yet, as Riker's Beard has already pointed out, every innkeeper will give you one. No matter where that innkeeper is, whether it's some random earthen in Northrend, or just like a dwarf in Karanos, it doesn't matter. We can just accept that that's not in lore. Yeah, when you're a little nobody, too. Who are you? Oh, I just stumbled out of the Dwarven Cold Valley area. And yeah, resurrection spells is another example. There is resurrection in lore, but it's not just, oh yeah, hang on, boop. Anyway, sorry, moving on. I'm impressed with how quickly you pulled this group together, Commander. I think it's time we start putting up some walls and establish a firm perimeter.
We'll get it done. On it.
And then, boom.
Through your selfless actions, you have earned the respect of my people. They have granted you this foothold, confident that you will lead the Alliance to victory, Commander.
Yep, and we just have a garrison now. Okay. A human garrison. I'm sorry, I know I sound complainy. I think part of the problem is I really liked the vibe and idea of being stuck out here. You know? And of having to make do with what locals and what little resources we had access to, you know? Hell, even this is mostly just a palisade, but trust me, it'll get worse. Okay, let's do our initial roundup. So, if you've heard anything about Warlords, what you've heard is, and I'm quoting directly here, garrisons, and that's one of the most common things that anybody has ever said about Warlords of Draenor. Now, I've said this 1,000 times, but garrisons were not actually a bad idea. In fact, they weren't even a bad implementation. There were 3 major flaws they made with garrisons. Flaw number 1, they were centric to a player. You could reach out to another player and actually go to another player's garrison, but it required you to actually group with them and then do a specific thing over here, which was like, hey, go to leader's garrison. These should have been a lot more open and centric. In fact, given how insane the layering technique was in Warlords, they could have just done that. Let me try to explain a little bit how good the layering is at this point in time. Excuse me. So, let's say, back during the intro sequence, right? During the attack on the Dark Portal in Tanan Jungle. If I, an Alliance player, was attacking, an Alliance player enemy, like if I was helping a Draenei, there's another player right next to me who is talking to the same NPC and interacting with them the same way, but because they are horde flagged, there's a flag that's slightly different, which is making that look like an orc instead of a Draenei. It's the same NPC, giving the same quests and doing the same stuff, but different thing, right? So you get the idea. They had the tech to be able to make it so that this was just the capital city, and players are all running around doing their own thing. And all you'd have to do is make it so that there's 3 capital cities, and you already get the idea here, for those of you who know how garrisons work. For those of you who don't, there are 3 tiers of garrisons. There's your basic one here, there's the second tier, which we upgrade later, and then there's the third tier, which we may actually not even get in this run, because there's not a lot of reason to do it. And just make it open. Make it so that other frickin' players are here. We already got most of the other pieces of what a capital city is. And you're probably thinking, who cares, lore? Far be it from me to try and drag people interacting with other people, but there is a proven, and I do mean proven at this point, thing, where if you completely isolate players, it demonstrably lowers the overall enjoyment of the game. And part of the problem with garrisons was they did exactly that. This was the capital city right here, for all intents and purposes. Don't even talk to me about Ashen. We're not even covering that. Nobody went to Ashen. Don't lie to me. You go to Ashen for an Orgrimmar portal. That's the only reason you go to Ashen. So people would come here and be totally isolated. And completely alone. Yeah, like, you go to Dornogal and there's tons of people roaming around. Back in Veldraken, there was tons of people. If I go to Dalaran right now, there will be tons of people there. If I go to Orgrimmar or Stormwind, there will be tons of people there. It helps. Even if you don't interact with those people, just seeing the other players helps. I don't 100% know why, I'll be honest with you. I don't understand the concept, but again, this was definitely a proven feature because many people across many walks of life all agreed that garrisons being sharded off was a terrible idea. Yeah, order halls was a much better implementation of the same concept, and one of the biggest changes in order halls was you would see other players, regardless of where you were at in your particular order chain, right? Regardless of which NPCs were in your order hall. So, they could do it. Yeah, exactly, Bladeswell. It adds to the vibe and the flavor and the tone. You look around here and this looks lonely. I will give them credit. They put a lot of effort into the roaming NPCs in this, so credit where credit is due. But Piper's there is actually rubber banding a little bit. But garrisons being isolated didn't help anything. And so that leads to one of the truly rare negatives to story I'm going to give. Excuse me, let me be very clear about that. One of the negatives I'm giving to this concept, we're giving tons of negatives to story to Warlords, and that is NPC set dressing. The absence of other players absolutely hurts garrisons. The second biggest flaw they made with garrisons was the fact that they created this loop. Anybody who did any crafting in Warlords, including me, knows exactly what I'm talking about. Alright, so there's this node thing here. I could build a building that helps give me herbs. I could build a building that helps give me ore, and then I could make stuff over here, but all of the crafting in Warlords was time-gated. So this created this awful loop. I don't even know if it was intentional or not. Of logging in, harvesting your couple of buildings, building, like making the 2 or 3 things you can make that day, and then logging off. The time gating was incredibly frustrating, and I'm not sure if killing off gathering was on purpose. It feels to me like it was one of those things where, like, here, we'll give you a little bonus resources if you build these buildings. And they didn't realize that they were just completely, locking off that entire arc of gameplay. And then there's the mission table. We'll get to the mission table pretty soon, actually. Because the third mistake with garrisons was, and I cannot believe I'm saying this, but it's true, they had no end game. Hear me out for a second. I know that I've complained about people complaining about end game stuff for the entirety of WoW, and I will continue doing so in the future, apparently, as we talk about things like Warfronts. But hear me out for a second. Once, the garrison's best implementation is as you're leveling. Not even within the garrison itself, per se, but as you go through the zone... Jesus, I need to turn off handy notes. As you're going through the zone, you will notice things that I am hitting the wrong button. Hang on. Let me just turn this off. Just turn that off. There we go. We'll, like, build a building, or we'll research a thing, or we'll interact with an NPC, or a faction, or whatever, and that will give us an ability, or a buff, or some functionality for that zone. And that was our garrison expanding. And this is true for all of these zones. Every single one of these zones has something that you gain as a result of your garrison. And that was awesome. The garrisons were part of the leveling experience. And every now and again, you'd come back here and there'd be a quest or 2 or 3, which would go through the garrison and help push you into the next zone, or help get you through the particular plot arc you're going through. And it was good. The garrisons were part of the leveling experience, and that's awesome, both story-wise and gameplay. And then you finished all the zones. Now what? Now, if you're paying attention to chat, you know the answer to that, because the now what was, alright, go do the mission table, don't craft your daily things, and then log off, and that was it. And you see how these all compounded each other. So I will defend garrisons for what they were, but I will also bash garrisons for what they also were. Because, yeah. I made a lot of the gold that I still have in Warlords. The problem with that is everyone did. Like, this is one of the first times I had it. Actually, after Garrisons, I could have finally afforded this mount. Which is actually funny when you think about it, because I didn't even buy this mount. One of my viewers bought this mount for me for the lore run. I don't remember who, I'm sorry. But I couldn't afford this mount back in the day. After Warlords, I could have actually afforded that mount. And I was like, sweet, I like being able to afford things. But the problem with that, again, is everyone was doing it. Yeah. There's a reason why this used to be considered a gold sink. 100,000 or 150,000 gold mount to the 5 million nonsense that we would see in Legion. How many mounts do I have? 555 on this character. Ugh. Excuse me. I'll put that through the ESO, DB Kakarot, and Naruto to long title. Thank you, Act. As always. Why would I ever have the Black Spider mount, Jay Palmer? Oh, was it 2 million? I don't know, I never bought any of the mounts after that went into the gold mounts. I don't remember if Warlords or Legion is when they had the mobile app. By the way, you could do some of these missions from your phone. It's not a joke. So there are a few that are per character. Paladin mounts, Warlock mounts, all the class mounts you get from order halls, faction mounts, PvP mounts, stuff like that. Now I do apologize. I have to be right back. So I will be right back. Okay. So anyways, most of what I just described is in the future, but... yeah. Let's do our tutorials.
Orders, Commander. We've got a lot of work to do. I'll call in a few favors.
So much work to do. I don't even know where to start. Making sure this garrison is operational is not an easy task. Shelley hasn't even reported back to me. My system Brightstone and her crew are up to who knows where. I'm so caught up I haven't even had time to check our cache. If I were a mage, you think I could do a mirror images to do this all at once?
We've got a lot of work to do. We'll get it done.
What?
Hello, Commander.
Lieutenant Thorne is a shining example to us all. I've never seen such a dedicated leader. I haven't worked up the courage to speak to her, but perhaps someday she'll know my name.
How am I supposed to do this all myself? Keep it together, Barrows. Keep it together.
So this is Lieutenant Thorne.
Raymain will lead us to victory.
Commander, I was just wondering, has Barrows mentioned me by chance? What? Oh, no reason. She blushes.
Watch your back.
What do you need? For the Alliance.
Tell me, Commander, what do you think of Lieutenant Thorne? Whenever she's around, I get so flustered. I'm just not really good with women, which she is an exceptional example of. A woman, that is, although she's also a Worgen, which I also like. Oh, that long, silky fur.
On it.
Rooting well in surprise. Maybe we could salvage material from the ship you arrived on? The raid folks are coming through the portal. What? We're going to be out of everything by sundown. Moondown? I'm still getting used to this place.
I'll call in a few favors. Maybe those orcs have something on that boat we can use. Besides tooth-piercing devices.
Let us speak.
We are getting strange reports of an orc attack on a nearby settlement called Eventide Landing. I'm hearing these particular orcs are unlike any we've encountered before. They're sickly and pale in color. The locals could use your help, Commander. It seems like the perfect opportunity to test your garrison's abilities.
Be careful, Commander. If these pale orcs are real, who knows what powers they possess?
Talk to me. See you soon.
Yeah, that would have been Warlords then. Because Warlords was patch 6. Hey, off the deeper end. Happy Saturday.
Greetings. Be careful.
Greetings. Go with honor, friend.
Well, that's an interesting... Oh, yeah, by the way, Amber Kieran is here. Again, just pointing that out. Nothing fancy, just pointing it out. Oh, you're at Disneyland. Well, I hope you're having fun, Sean. And thank you for the sub, as always. You know, we might end up playing... If the rumors are true, we might end up playing Red Dead Redemption 2 on the Switch, too. I'm kidding. I'm gonna play it on the PC. Just funny to think about. Let's see. Shantae Advance. We might actually be playing that on the Switch, too. Spider-Man and Red Dead Redemption 1. I like Warlords too. Doesn't mean I can't criticize it. I'll never agree that the WoW token is a cash grab. I can't. I've been playing MMOs for too long. I'm sorry. I've been there for the really, really horrible eras of when people would buy gold, including in WoW, actually. I've actually had members of WoW get hacked by gold hackers, by people trying to strip accounts. Okay. That's actually a good point, Uthor. I've heard that too, Blue Fusion Bolt. We'll see, I suppose. Gordana, what are you doing? Oh my god. Okay.
My men are standing ready. We'll get it done.
Can you speak a little later, madam? I don't really have time at the moment.
For the Alliance.
Oh, you did what? Oh, you're a lifesaver. Those tasks out of the way, my job will be much easier.
We've got a lot of work to do. I feel so relieved. Maybe I can actually do some stargazing tonight. That would be a nice change of pace.
I wouldn't bet on it. Like, Riker's Beard and I actually had a real discussion about this a while ago. Because the problem is, in an ideal world, it would be nice if there was no buying gold for real money. That world does not exist. Like, just straight up. Players, and let's be clear, it is players' fault, will always go out of their way to buy gold. That market exists, and very, very scummy people will go out of their way to try and rip as much gold into the system as they can to then sell it to them. Those people do so by a number of methods. There's obviously bot farming. You've literally seen that on camera back in the Searing Gorge. I do love the Iron Horde's ships, by the way, the Dreadnoughts. Then there's the more common method, which was they will try to do everything in their power to essentially steal people's accounts. To try and they strip accounts. They take everything of value on you, sell all the gold, mail it to another account, and then sometimes they actually delete the characters while they're on their way out. If they have access to a guild bank, they try to strip the guild bank on the process. I will say this. I understand... God, that ship is so cool looking. I understand the mentality of... Well, for lack of a better way to put it, we can't have enough people to combat the bots. But I think that's not 100% true. I'm going to admit I don't really have a lot of evidence of that, but I have a vibe and a feeling that they take the valid argument, which is that there's just too many bots, and use that as an excuse to have too few admins, if that makes sense. In other words, they could actually afford to have more real-life people on hand, on deck, to deal with this crap, right? And because they arguably can't have enough people, they use that as an excuse to have too few people. Exactly, Huthor. Part of the reason I have that theory is because I've seen other companies, not even game companies, just companies in general, use that exact same excuse. Oh, well, we can't do it, so we're not even going to try. It's actually a pretty common argument I see. Real quick, so you see that mob? That is a silver. When was the last time silver mobs were actually relevant in this game? The silver mob concept was a whole thing in Warlords. Can I just say, I absolutely love what they did with it in Warlords. I believe they've used this ever since. So the silver mobs, these are rares. Obviously, rares have been around since vanilla. But they did rares a little bit differently. A lot of them had unique abilities and fun stuff like that, but they also here all drop something. And whatever it is they drop is unique to them. That mob right there has a drop that mob drops. I don't know what it is. It's probably just garrison resources. Now, for silver mobs in particular, excuse me, really, Laura? I don't feel like getting biled on. Oh, never mind. Apparently I'm just getting biled on. That's gross. No, they do not, Sean. We have already peaked, and I have not changed my mind on that at all. When did Red Dead Redemption 2 come out? Well, that's a good question, Lord Hermont. The first thing is that these guys now fully share, which is cool. So that's a little bit of an unrelated tech, but it is still worthy of note. But the second thing, and the much more cool thing, is that it keeps track of which rares you've killed. I'll actually demonstrate this in just a second. But it kind of created a completionist tracking for rares. So before now, you just see a rare and you could kill it and it'll give you trash. It's almost always trash. Sometimes it's green trash, sometimes it's blue trash, but it's trash. But here, you kill it and it gives you something which is almost always useful. It may not be useful for your current spec or your current build or whatever, but it is decent. There's some decent stuff here. There's always a good amount of garrison resources, and I'm just waiting for them to respawn, because they all respawn a lot faster in Warlords as well. Once you kill one, you have killed one. You get credit for that. Oh, there he is, right there. Now, do you notice? Of course you don't, because I have add-ons. But there are two things you should be noticing immediately. First, he's no longer on my minimap. Second of all, he no longer has a silver star. So the HUD actually indicates clearly, I've already killed that rare. But if I feel like helping someone else kill him, I can. I will, however, not get any credit for it the second time around, because I've already gotten that one. These are... Oh yeah, they also gave a good chunk of experience. Thank you for reminding me, Huthor. Me and Pax actually leveled a couple of characters in preparation for Legion before the launch event. Whoops. Just off of killing rares and getting chests. And yeah, they also respawn very quickly. So these are relatively minor changes compared to how they had always approached rares. But they made it so that players in general, and I'm not just speaking personally, like I would always see players running around, and so they'd see a rare and they'd be like, and beeline the sucker. And we'd usually help them, whether we had already gotten it or not, and vice versa for that matter. In short, it did the exact opposite of what Garrisons did. It actually encouraged players to actually interact with each other. Yeah, the experience gain in Warlords is actually quite good. That's why we leveled that way. Again, we felt silly for doing that because then the Legion the Legion launch event happened, which is, even to this very day, the fastest you could level in the history of this game. Like, even if you were not trying, you could level to max level, which was 100 at the time, in a couple of hours during the Legion launch event. It was awesome. This is why Pax and I were kicking ourselves, because, like, you know, we just finished leveling a bunch of characters in preparation for Legion, and then, you know, the launch event hit. Anyways, you could solo them. I would recommend it, but you could. I don't remember War Within's launch event, which I know sounds pathetic because it literally just happened, but I really don't. Oh, hey, it's Kiana. I'm sorry, we're up to 4 survivors now from the initial attack. Also, I just want to show off this thing really quick. That is just such a cool looking ship. That's it. I just want to show it off. Love that thing. Echoes. Yes, I remember the echoes. Definitely. So much so that if you told me about them right now to refresh the audience, I could agree with everything you're saying.
Just say the word, Commander.
Supplies are getting really low, Commander.
On it.
Wow, with all these supplies, we should be right back on track. We're blessed to have you protecting us, Commander.
I'll call in a few favors. Ugh, some of these supplies are really waterlogged and sticky. These will get the job done, but truly, this is disgusting.
You're welcome, Barros. Okay, for real, I have no memory of what you're talking about. Hang on. Let's see. War Within launch event. That's right. That's right. The moment I saw Dust Wallow. Okay. What did they give? I don't even remember them giving anything. I mean, he did mention building Stormwind there, J. Palmer, but probably most people don't remember.
How goes the fight?
This is unnerving, to say the least. Those things must have come from underground. Hopefully we've seen the last of them.
Well, these pale orcs sound dangerous. Hopefully, this is the last we see of them.
Yeah, I remember there was a toy. I remember it because it required doing, like, all 3 events or something like that. I don't remember what the toy was, though. It was, like, the only thing I bothered getting. Might have been the ring? God, I don't even remember now. Oh, jeez. Yeah, we barely did that event. Yeah, whatever. It doesn't matter. There it is. Band of Radiant Echoes. So we got that. Meh.
Hello, Commander.
I must say, this garrison has really come along. We have enough materials. All we need now are the blueprints I drafted up, and I can begin construction on your barracks. Where'd I put those blueprints?
We'll get it done.
Legion event was the best event we've ever had, that's true. No, I stand by that. You could say that's damning, but it's still true. I was actually looking at your list, Uthor. I'll comment on that in a second once I'm done. We're still in tutorial land here. So here's our garrison interface. At the moment, we can build a small building and a big building. We're going to build a big building because it's literally all we can do. And it's done. Oh, much better than Wrath's. Wrath's is one of those accidentally good events.
The barracks look fantastic. You should go check in with Murad. I'm going to hang out here and admire my handiwork.
Wouldn't it be cool if it was a Draenei barracks? Okay.
Come, speak with me. With the barracks complete, we can finally shelter all of these troops from this eternal night. Kiana just headed out to Moonflower Valley. She is quite eager to explore this new land.
We don't have one yet, Ect. We might not. So yeah, here's our first zone ability. 5-minute cooldown. I'll show it off in a minute. Literally, like a minute. Give me a sec here. I can not get stuck on the friggin'...
We will defend Azeroth together.
We'll come back to that. Oh no! I better call in reinforcements. So yeah, you know that squad concept? They turned it into a frickin' button. That's a 5-minute cooldown, but these guys do a fairly large amount of damage. Commander, your timing is impeccable as always. Luca, follow me. I'll never sneak into another wagon again, I swear. Uh-huh. Oh yeah, Draenor has tons of woodlands. The wilds are frankly overgrown. We might say there's an overgrowth.
Elune Adore.
Luca's a little shaken up, but he's safe, and that's all that really matters. Look, Commander, I owe you my life. All of us do, honestly. I'd be honored to serve as your agent.
May the stars guide you.
Yep. So,
You have my attention. Good day.
Let's talk about the mission board. You know, I've always liked the idea of a mission board, and I don't think I've ever liked an execution of a mission board. Like, they did this in Assassin's Creed as well, you remember that? Going as far back as Brotherhood, I believe. So, the way the mission board works... Yeah, Warlords botched it pretty hard. Legion was a little bit better about it, and yeah, Shadowlands actually was fine. So the idea is actually really simple. It's this mobile interface thing. You've got a mission. It has detriments to the mission. It has a zone. It has a time limit, and it gives you this benefit. And this is your chance of success. You go ahead and drop this in. Boom. That changes your success rate. I will give Warlords this. I will. These got pretty complicated later on. Like, there was some interesting combinations of characters and combos in order to make these missions work. And that's cool. There were two major problems with it, though. The first and most obvious problem is that it's mandatory. You have to do the mission board. And as we've already talked about, that's not great. Oh yeah, then there's the ship board. Ugh, we'll get to that. The second problem is that this thing is part of that end game. This essentially was the end game of Warlords. So that wasn't great.
Hail, traveler. We are not monsters here.
Oh yeah, sorry. It's also worth noting that there's a fourth problem. It takes time. Real life time.
The Prophet guides us.
I see that Uriel has started wearing some armor. Interesting. Prophet Velen has asked me to show you around the valley. Not yet. Let's go talk with Kagner first. Yeah, no, you are probably correct, Uthor.
We must not fail.
Yeah, it is most likely this is intentional, because they wanted you to log in for a second and then log off. I'm not sure why they wanted that. I mean, yeah, Warlords is probably when Activision and Kotick really started influencing the game. Again, Titan, the consequences of Titan. So it's entirely possible that this is them being like, There
remains much to be done.
Hello again, Arcane Wake. You're just in time. We've tracked the Shadow Council to a nearby village. I suspect Gul'dan is with them.
Always happy to help.
What must be done? I need someone I can trust. You are one of those few. The woods in the Orc village, Gulvar, are protected from scrying magic. We need to pierce that veil, and I think I know a way. There's a fell presence in the woods, a demonic watcher, hidden in a cave. I'd like you to go to the warden and capture it.
Remain vigilant.
I'm going ahead to the demon's lair. We'll capture it together.
The priestess of the moon also has something to ask of you.
Hello, Dallas Moonfang.
Greetings.
We'll be seeing you again. The Archmage has asked me to prepare this moon well. Once it's completed, I'll be able to sanctify its water for use against the demon. Only one thing remains. A piece of one of Draenor's moons has fallen to a nearby pool. Such a thing is perfect for a dedication of the moon well to Elune. Will you bring it back for me?
May the stars guide you.
Yep, our players are logging in every single day. Ugh. Yeah. Yeah.
Come on, this way.
Of course I have, Act.
In here.
I mean... People have stopped being subtle about it, is all I'm going to say about that. Yeah.
done. I'll take it back to the outpost and see that it's secure. Come, foul creature.
Oh. Sure, we'll leave Cordana with the demon. That sounds safe. Yeah, actually, I remember someone specifically called me out for commenting on the Shadowlands dip. Now, obviously, we had evidence that the Shadowlands dip existed prior to this event. But when someone asked me about that, it happened to be relatively recent to them, finally officially confirming the player figures from across BFA Shadowlands and then Dragonflight. That was, I believe, last year. Like, that was very recent. It might have been 2 years ago. I have trouble with time. I'm not going to lie about that.
It'd be easier to guard you if you stayed out of sight, Khadgar.
I am not a child to cower beneath your cape, Cordana. Ah, good to see you.
As soon as we have enough blessed water from the priestess's moonwell, we'll break the demon's will and use the proxy to see into Gulvar. That way they won't know it's us scrying on them. But first we need to weaken their shrouding magic.
It is a world of wonder.
Long ago, the shamans of Shadowmoon clan erected 3 stones in the woods. There they performed their sacred rituals, blessing the beast and the trees. Now someone's placed a fell magic on the stones. This corruption is what shrouds the village. So, we need to bring down those stones.
Be mindful of your duty. Be wary. I suspect the stones will be heavily guarded.
Dude, Tony Amendola is legit. In general, but he also just does a great job of Khadgar.
Goddess bless you. Elune light your path.
Thank you. The White Lady will be pleased. Now I shall go about the business of preparing the Moonwell water for the Archmage's plan, but first, I wonder if you'd be willing to help me again. The Warden brought back very disturbing stories about creatures in the woods.
Watch your will.
He tells me the creatures are cursed with the same fell energies keeping Khadgar from scrying into the Orc village, and this will not do. If we were on Azeroth, I could find a cure in a reasonable time frame. However, we are not, nor do we have the luxury of time. Better to put a swift end to their suffering.
Asha Felah.
Yeah, it's Braytak, I think is how that was pronounced. Been a while. God, yeah. That dip from Shadowlands is huge. And that's with Classic just holding the entire game up there. So I've looked at this graph several times. There's a lot of information you can glean from this graph. You'll also notice they report the rolling average, which makes sense. Alright, time to kill some corrupted toads. Oh yeah, no, I had suspected many things before, and that graph was like, yep, it's... Believe it or not, I actually do have the ability to analyze things. So I don't want to say no definitively, Lord Hermont, but if I'm being completely honest, if anything was going to kill WoW, like actually kill WoW, it was Shadowlands. Without Classic, there is a very real chance that WoW would have died, and we never would have gotten Dragonflight or War Within. There are chances that that's not true, but that's long odds, honestly. Yeah, and remember, this is also back when Kotick was still the money person. Still making all of the shots and still completely in charge of the production chain. Yeah, we frankly dodged a bullet with that one. Yeah, we had COVID. We had the lawsuits. And then we had Shadowlands, for lack of a better way to put it. I have a suspicion that Dragonflight will be our best scoring expansion until War Within is finished, until the patch within stream. See you around, Sean. Have fun. I've talked about this many times, but yeah, the decision to make it one sub was one of the smartest possible decisions they could have made. Anything else would not have worked there. Oh, that's a good idea, Huthor. I like that idea. Because, yeah, honestly, launch Dragonflight probably has the bulk of negatives that Dragonflight's going to get. At least on the story axis. Oh, wait. Vanilla music all of a sudden. Do you mind? Let me eat some mono brownies. Which expansions only improved with patch content? I personally think Legion qualifies there. Them ripping out much of the grind of artifact power was pretty much universally a good move. And of course, you know, we had Suramar, and then we had the Broken Shore, and then we had Argus. But then again, you don't like Entorus, right? Or not Entorus. Whatever the Argus thing is. But I would say even if it isn't a gross positive, I think Legion was definitely a fairly large net positive increase with patch content. So then we have BFA. I cannot in good conscience say that BFA was a universal improvement. There's still several decisions there, which I will be giving negatives to when we get there. Shadowlands actively got worse, I would say. With its patch content. Like, noticeably a step down. Ignoring the fact that it has probably the worst zone in the entire game in that patch content. Most of the good stuff in Shadowlands was the frickin' zones. The launch, right? The arc. It was like this. Because, yeah, 9.1 was just what in the world? I don't remember 9.2. I might not have played 9.2. We'll see. We'll see. We'll get there. That's true, though. And then there's Dragonflight. I think Dragonflight is probably the most universal improvement in patch content. I might be wrong about that, but man, Dragonflight's patches just hit for the fences.
What brings you here?
Or rather, swung for the fences and succeeded at it. Grim business. I wish it could have been done differently. Thank you for your dedication. Be comforted in the fact that Elune understands.
Go in peace.
Yeah, Dragonflight's patches were legit. I even have some issues with Fyrakk, but they're kind of smoothed over by things related to Fyrakk. And frankly, Fyrakk is also a universal improvement over, I don't even remember her name.
Be good.
Let's get to work.
Now that the veil has been lifted from the woods, we can make use of the demon. We'll convince it to turn its eye upon Gulvar and show us what the Shadow Council is planning.
Always happy to help.
Now that Priestess Moonfang has created the Blessed Water, it's time to deal with the demon. Take the water and the scripture of Elune. Through the power of each, you will compel the demon to show us what the orcs are up to.
Remain vigilant.
Yeah, exactly.
Be careful.
Luthor.
The demon will try to trick you.
Yeah, Fyrek is a very, in and of himself, is a very boring one-note, mwahaha, like destroying stuff villain. But he is excellently animated, showcased, voice-acted, and again, his role is part of Eridikron's plot is legitimately interesting. And it helps that he's a good boss fight. Let's go ahead and grab these. Yeah, Tindril is just one of the best boss fights in this entire game. It's just weird. I really wish I could give him positives. I mean, he's at least top 5 territory as Maristar. 100%. Back when I was rating the bosses of the raids of FF14, one of the things I was keeping in my mind was how those fights measured up against WoW fights. Because while FF14 has really good fights, and it does, some of the WoW fights are the best in the business, right? I mean, that's... right? WoW boss design is one of the things they're known for. And so I was trying to think about which bosses would review how well, and then like comparing and contrasting that to certain FF14 fights. And when I was thinking about Tindril, I was like, this just beats the brakes off of the triple system, because I couldn't give 3 positives to him. It would have to be more. We would have to actually zoom in the camera more and actually be like, okay, this is positive worthy, this is positive worthy, this is positive worthy, this is positive, because it's just such a well-designed fight. We've started getting there in FF14, it's worth noting. We've gotten more than triples in 14. Anyways. I will eat your soul. Splash, splash, splash.
Rise, old friends. The time has come for the next step of my plan. Terrangor, infiltrate the Occani and take control of Ockendun. Bleed them dry. It will be done, Lord Gul'dan. Cho'Gall, we'll finish your Frostfire business together. I'm sending you to Nagrand to subjugate the Naru and Ashogun. I will crush it!
The Pale and the Key.
All I require is its limitless power. Razun, you stay here. I have other plans for... What is that? What are
He killed the demon. Holy crap.
We will defend Azeroth together.
Gul'dan is here. We must move quickly to capture him.
Be mindful of...
Yeah, that's not gonna happen. It's good to know what Terrangor and Cho'Gall are up to. It's more important we stop Gul'dan. Some of his disciples can summon minor demons. To do this, they must use a soul shard. What's a soul shard? The foul crystal creates a connection to the twisting nether, pulling a demon through against its will. Gul'dan's as much demon as he is orc. If we can gather some more potent shards, we can combine them into something that just might capture him.
It is a world of wonder.
Khadgar wants you to
Doesn't want me going with you, but I can help by magically projecting myself.
You're right you're not going out there.
Khadgar wants you to concentrate on Gul'dan, but that doesn't mean we're not going to take down the Shadow Council in the process. Gul'var's filthy with Shadow Council. Let's do something about them. Ugh, frickin' Shadow Council. Yeah, what's interesting is Khadgar has already defeated Gul'dan once, kind of. There's a couple asterisks to that. Great audio drama, by the way. I even referenced it in the Warcraft. And I like how they're just sacrificing their own people here, because why not? What else are you gonna do? You gotta sacrifice someone, right? It leads into the events of the opening. It's Khadgar, Maiev, and Gul'dan are the three principal characters. It leads directly into the creation of the Fellstorm during the events of Legion, or rather, setting off the events of Legion. It's really good character stuff for all three of them. But most importantly of all, Gul'dan. Yeah, we're going to ignore the 1,000 years thing. We'll give that negatives when we get there. Patient. So, would I be excited for an insult mechanic in WoW? Do I like insulting enemies? Wait! I do that all the time! I play a tank, after all. What do you think happens when you hit the taunt button? Speaking of, Yura had a good question off camera, which I was going to save for on camera, and then I had a billion things to talk about, so I'm only now getting around to it. Yura says, Lore, why are you the worst streamer in the entire world? And the answer is actually very simple. It's because I absolutely freaking refuse to kowtow to the actual algorithm and do all the stupid bullcrap that all the actually successful streamers do. Because screw that and screw them. The other question you're asked is, why do we give negatives for launches? Now, this is not the first time I've been asked this question, so I kind of have a pre-built-in response for this. It boils down to... So, here's the actual short answer. Screw them. And that really is the short answer. There's not much else depth to that. But the long answer is that I feel like... We debated this a lot when we first started doing launch negatives. This is a while ago, several years ago now. The idea is to not let them get away with it, because there's two major things that lead to launch negatives. One is the game releasing in a buggy and unbroken state. Cyberpunk would come to mind immediately, or No Man's Sky. In both cases, both games are eventually patched into acceptability, right? Cyberpunk is in a much better state, and No Man's Sky is actually fun. However, it's there to kind of serve as, for lack of a better way to put it, a signpost to acknowledge the difference between a game that was made good and then a game that was eventually made good. Diablo 3, for example, got, I think, our absolute worst launch negatives we've ever given, and frankly, I'm not sure we'll ever give worse than Diablo 3. Because, yeah, Diablo 3's launch was terrible in multiple different ways. And that should be acknowledged. It should be acknowledged that Diablo 3 started in a terrible state. They should get credit for the fact that they turned that around. And they should. But D3 was terrible at launch. It was one of those things where people would actually look at me like I was strange when I would talk about how great Diablo 3 was, because the impact from that launch pushed so many people away from the game. And I mean, the example of this really is No Man's Sky, a game that launched in such a terrible state that most people considered it a joke just to mention the name of the game. Now that's an interesting question, Huthor. Here's my counterpoint to that. If a game turns it around, it gets positives. Like, just for being good, for having turned it around. And I can actually show this in action because I have reviewed Diablo 3. And let's go pull up some figures here really quick, shall we? Let's go to my reviews page. And let's sort by best golden number. And the number 2 slot is Diablo 3. I think the system's working as intended there. Ah. I'm probably not explaining that correctly, but trust me as someone who knows my review system inside and out. That if you turn it around, the positives you get for turning it around will absolutely overwhelm the negatives you got for the launch. If you don't turn it around, well... It can and has been argued we shouldn't give launch negatives. There is a problem with doing that, other than the obvious, because the exact same argument applies pretty much equally to microtransactions. In fact, if you pay attention to the spreadsheet we use for the audits, you may or may not notice that the launch negatives and the microtransaction negatives are actually in the same bundle, same category. He's just spamming that spell there. Not that I have any room to talk. I'm just spamming Frostbolt at this point. Yeah, the ARR Miracle is the only time we've ever given something positives for overcoming that nonsense. And really, that's a very unique situation. But again, all of what I just said really boils down to the short answer I already gave. Screw them. You released a game in either an unacceptable state because of deliberately not finishing said game, or because of whatever other mitigating factors may or may not exist. Yeah, do better. Would Dragonblight deserve it? I would say no. I was actually thinking about that. I don't think any of the upcoming WoW expansions deserve a launch negative. I think Warlords is the last one. Yeah, I'm challenging myself on that now really quick. Nope, yep, I'm pretty sure that is it. Because another thing you have to consider is an absence of launch negatives is mathematically a presence of positives. It does overall boost the score. So that's the other layer here. Any game that doesn't get launch negatives is more or less immediately getting launch positives, or rather, lack of launch negatives. Do you have the shards? Alright, now that's all left to do is fashion them as something strong enough to ensnare Gul'dan. Luckily, we can do that right here. We have the shards, but now they're combined. There's a forge here, but its fires aren't hot enough for our purposes. However, there is a demon nearby that burns hot as the sun. Gul'dan, or perhaps Razun, has managed to summon an infernal. The thing calls itself Krosnus, which means furnace. The demon's heart burns hotly enough. All you need to do is collect it. How am I going to transport something as hot as the sun? I love the corpses, by the way. At the feet of the infernal. So do MMOs get a pass on bad launch? Absolutely not, no. Hell, we already have precedents for that, because we've given negatives to Tor, to STO, to FF14, and to WoW, which is all of the MMOs we've covered for bad launches. Yeah, Roban got negatives over in FF14, for example. And deserved, if I might be so bold. I think I only got one negative because it wasn't terrible, like some of the WoW stuff we've covered, but yeah. With the combined might of the shards, we should be able to trap Gul'dan. Alright, place this in the forge. We'll need the infernal heat to forge the trap. Alright, now all that's left is to stoke the fire and combine these components into a trap. Sure, I can do that.
Quickly, combine the shards to forge a soul trap for Gul'dan.
Are we ripping his soul out? Is that what we're doing here? With the soul shards combined, we'll trap Gul'dan and put an end to the Shadow Council. Ah, no time to waste. We must capture Gul'dan. He's on the Shadow Rise up the hill to the west, but you must hurry. We know he's about to leave for Talador and Frostfire Ridge. The use of the soul trap is straightforward. Point and shoot. The crystal will take care of the rest. Yeah, I like several of this.
Careful, my friend. Gul'dan is not to be underestimated, no matter how prepared you might be.
Hi, Gul'dan.
I remember you. I am not that easy. Razun, you're...
What? No!
Have fun dealing with this. Destroy!
Well, that's unpleasant. Yeah, suddenly a Minari. Fine, it's fine. I love how the guy was like, no, please, don't turn me into this. Yeah, interesting thought process there. Huh.
No matter. Soon there will be enough fell blood to make thousands for the Burning Legion. Do give my regards to Khadgar. I've a present coming for him.
Cool. I mean, he was a Draenei, so it made sense that he would turn into a Minari. Since Draenei are Eridar.
There remains much to be done.
Unfortunate, but not surprising. At least we were able to defeat one of the inner council members. All's not lost. We know the Shadow Council's up to and where they're heading. We'll regroup in Talador. Together we'll put an end to Terangor and his plan. Did you hear that?
Be mindful of your duty. Commander, what's wrong?
Khadgar, someone's here. Assassin!
I love the fact that he ice blocks. It literally saves his life.
Gul'dan sends his best.
I knew it. You should have stayed back at the garrison, Archmage.
Nonsense. I had that handled. Cool as a cucumber.
Can someone de-sap me, please? Fucking goddamn rogues.
Let's get to work. Remain vigilant.
Look, he was cool as a cucumber, okay? Yeah, Ice Block and Divine Intervention both bypass most limitations on using abilities. I was going to say, we're a mage. We could have done the same thing. But, of course, we are a smuggler, so... We haven't really talked Mage Kit yet because we're only level 20. At the moment, we don't have much. Correct, Lord Hermod, because they actually know that we're a such and such. Go figure. Excuse me. Oh, right, speaking of, I should put my teleports and my portals, which I don't even have on the bar. I only have teleport Exodar. Well, that's funny. Anyways, so we're a mage. We can teleport. We can summon a portal for people who are in our party to use. We happen to be a frost mage at the moment. Instacast that does almost no damage. However, anything that is frozen triples the damage to the point where it's actually worthwhile. Blink, which is exactly what it sounds like. That's kind of a speed boost thing, but also something to get out of combat. Flurry, which is an Instacast and does decent damage. However, what Flurry really does is Flurry makes the target get a debuff, which acts as though they're frozen, which once again buffs Ice Lance. Frostbolt is our bread and butter. That's whatever. Frost Nova, which is a root PB AoE. This, which is just everything around me I want to die immediately. Cooldown AoE. Blizzard's been changed a little bit. Now it's a cast time rather than a channel, so you just fire it up and then you let it go. But of course, it still does a slow, and I think that's it at the moment because I haven't spec'd into it any. Frost Orb, however, that's a fun one. Frost Orb will travel until it reaches an enemy or its limit, at which point it'll immediately give you a Fingers of Frost, which also gives you Ice Lance. Cone of Cold is kind of useless. I'm probably going to take it off my bar at some point. It's really only useful for kiting. It does pittance damage and has a cooldown. We also have the ability to make food. Food is percentage healing. That's important because it is always useful. No matter what level you are, no matter what your stats or spec or whatever, you will heal 100% health and 100% mana from mage food. So mage food is essentially superior for healing than any other food in the game. Obviously it gives you no buffs though. I'm not sure when I get the minion. I'll have to look at the talents in a second. We have a int buff. It is a percentage buff, because most of the buffs are percentage buffs nowadays. Invisible, 5-minute cooldown, but it does pull you out of combat completely, and lasts 20 seconds. Slowfall, obvious. Cold Snap, reset all your cooldowns, so you can blow all these cooldowns, hit Cold Snap, and blow these cooldowns again. And I think that's... Oh, and of course, Polymorph, which is a weird CC. It's technically one of the best CCs in the game, but it has some interesting limitations on it. Food is not usable in combat, that is correct. What are you? You're a plant. You'll do. So this is Polymorph. So first of all, you'll notice I am not in combat with this mob. So Polymorph does not aggro. Now, if I walk up to it, it aggroes, but I didn't aggro simply for polymorphing it, so that's nice. Actually, yes, you can, Lord Hermod. It'll reset the enemy, though. So, Polymorph just lets them roam there. Polymorph lasts a nice long time, a solid minute, and it completely pulls them out of combat. They just sit there. They regen to full health while they're polymorphed, but they are completely out of combat. Now, the limitations are the important things. First limitation is it can only work on beasts, humanoids, and critters. So demons, nope. Elementals, nope. And undead, I think, is the other big one. Second thing is, any damage at all immediately breaks polymorph. It's a very precisely used tool, but if used precisely, it will do some wonderful, wonderful things. There's also such a thing as polymorph spamming. That's its own thing. I don't want to get into that. That's more of a min-maxing thing. I don't remember how Hex works, to be honest with you, so I can't comment on that off the top of my head. Oh, and one last thing. You may or may not have noticed those shards of ice that appear over my head as I cast. That's, icicles right here. So anytime I cast Frostbolt or Flurry, I get an icicle. Whenever I cast Ice Lance, all the icicles then start launching at the target. I can store 5 icicles at a time. If I generate a 6th, then one of my icicles automatically shoots. There's actually another asterisk to that, because that leads to... where is it? That's way down there. Glacial Spike, which is one of the best spells in the game. It conjures a massive spike of ice and merges your icicles into it and then impales your target, dealing a ton of damage, and then all of the stored damage of your icicles. It also roots them. Yeah, Glacial Spike was from Warlords, I'm almost positive. It's a nice, big super nuke. Yeah, it essentially one-shots whatever you're looking at, which makes sense. It's a spender. You have to get 5 spikes up to even use it. And once you do, it's a cast time, and then... wham! It's a long cast time, too. 2.7 seconds. Let's see. Go with the proc. We'll grab that. Oh yeah, there's a lot of talenty stuff I haven't talked about yet. Icy Veins is relevant. Comet Storm is relevant. Where is it? Hang on. I'm not sure where everything is now. They've changed Frost around since the last time I've looked at it. I know there's a thing somewhere that gives me a Water Elemental. There's also Ray of Frost. This is a channel with a minute cooldown. Does a fairly large amount of damage and slows. Each time it does damage, its damage and snare stacks. Nice. Oh, it did Icy Veins? Oh, so it is. Activating Icy Veins summons a Water Elemental. The Water Elemental's abilities grant you Frigid Empowerment, increasing your frost damage by 3%, up to 15%. Nice. Glacial Spike also hits a second target for 100% of its damage. Yeah, I forgot about that. You get that before you get Glacial Spike. It's actually funny.
Let us speak.
Okay, hang on.
Orders, Commander.
Commander, I've been working on schematics that you might find interesting. What do you think about pushing the walls out, making room here to get additional structures in? Our forces have been growing, and things are like to get a little cramped, and I'd like us to get some additional blueprints. Sure, how much is it going to cost me?
Alliance.
Too much.
You have my undivided attention.
Okay, so we finished a mission. Definitely not mobile inspired here. Ooh. Hey, who's this loser? I wouldn't worry too much about it. Actually, shamans get an air elemental, don't they? Don't they? Hang on, I know they get... I swear they got an air elemental in the past, but now I'm not sure if they get an air elemental now. I'm actually not sure. Hang hang on. I mean, there was definitely some push to make WoW a gacha game. Some would argue that they actually succeeded at that push. Most people are exaggerating. Oh my god. Blizzard China has revealed the Golden Blazing Phoenix and Auspicious Embroidered Firehawk as promotional mounts for 2025. They dropped from loot boxes. Now, what I find funniest about that is that that is not the first time that loot boxes have existed only in China. Wow. This stuff does not exist over here. So, this will not be any additional negatives because this is exclusive to a country I do not live in. Yeah, no, the Chinese client, that's not... as horrible as that sounds, that's not Blizzard. Not really. There's a reason we call it Blizzard China. Yeah, NetEase is in charge over there. And it shows. Oh my god. So, yeah, the way it works, there's the deluxe box, there's the basic box. But there's also the deluxe box, okay? So you can only gain 12 deluxe boxes per year, total, max. But you can get 8 deluxe boxes if you spend $135 on it. However, you can do, like, group purchases. And if you do so, you could spend $405, which will give you the 12 deluxe boxes, which is the max you can get. That gives you the Golden Blazing Phoenix, the Swift Spectral Tiger, the Spectral Tiger, the X-51 Nether Rocket Extreme, the X-51 Nether Rocket, 50 Sandbox Tigers, Pet Biscuits, and Passive Scenarios. Christ. Yeah, no. You're right, Von Falkenstein. What the hell? Yeah, we need to get a few more people's rights going on over there, I think. Macro transactions. God, I don't know why I stumbled over that so hard. One second. I swear there was an elemental you could summon. I swear there was. Because it was a choice between fire and air, I remember it. And fire improved your AoE and air improved your single target. And then you could get the primal summon to improve it. They just get rid of that completely? I mean, they kind of have done that several times before, so I guess that's whatever. We can summon a lightning elemental. Oh, it's right there. There it is. It's the freaking air elemental. God, I'm blind. It's right there. Thank you. So yes, you can get a fire elemental or an air elemental. God. Sorry, that was really bugging me. Thank you, Doom Rider. I will put that down. Hang on a second. For Pokemon Violet, Hyrule Warriors 2, and WoW Pact Within. So I noticed one of the things... I was right, Tree, Lord Hermot. I noticed one of the things you gave a positive for in Legion was Ilnyoth. I'm curious why, Huthor, if you don't mind my asking. In your own words.
There is a time for prayer and a time for action. Ardonsha Kaikaldos. In the light, we triumph. What is happening to this world?
Don't worry about it. Your whole society's about to stop existing. It's fine, it's fine. Prophet Villain asked me to show you around the Shadowmoon Valley. We'll first go to Mbari, where my sister Samara is waiting for us. I have not seen her since the Iron Horde took me to Tanan. The village is just one of many trading villages between the Temple of Karabor and Shatrath. Follow the road east. Make your way to Mbari. I will accompany you.
With faith, we may try. I will go with you, hero. A warm welcome awaits us at Mbari village.
Does it, though?
Yerl, have you come back from the dead?
May you find what you seek.
Apparently she has nothing to say to him.
Of the past.
Here's the real funny question, Magister. Where exactly do you think the money goes from Blizzard China? Now,
I can't wait to surprise my sister Samara. I never thought I would see her again.
I can tell you the answer to that right now. We don't know for certainty. Chinese companies are different. But yes, Takoida is probably correct. Most of it probably goes right to the CCP.
Yera!
Yay, you're here!
She's back! Samara, I'm back!
Yerl? After the Iron Horde took you, I feared the worst.
The light granted me strength when I needed it most. It is good to be home.
Light's blessing to you.
She's really got a lot of faith in the light now. Thank you, stranger. The prophet spoke of new allies arriving on our shore. I hear it is thanks to you that my sister is safe. I owe a great debt, my friend.
Melanora Aka.
Your arrival should be cause for celebration, but I fear our troubles are just beginning. Warlord Nerzul and his Shadowman clan have launched a surprise attack on the Draenei settlement to the north. Prophet Villain has gone to aid the wounded, but we need more defenders. I must go to assist the others. If you wish to help us, go kill any Shadowmoon you see.
We will persevere.
Yeah, the light didn't save her. Doubly funny for playing like a Shadow Priest or a Warlock, or a Death Knight.
Beliadoros.
When the Shadowmoon attacked Arbor Glen, everything was thrown into chaos. Many of us escaped, but there are still 3 children missing. I believe they're still in the village. Please save them.
Please be careful, friend.
Come, speak with me.
The Shadowmoon orcs are using portals to bring in reinforcements and smuggle away Draenei captives. If we're to have any hope of retaking the village, we must destroy the portals at once.
Mano Ekta, my friend.
So, the Shadowmoon are of course part of the Iron Horde and are attacking their Draenei allies. We'll cover why in a bit, but this should automatically raise an eyebrow to anybody familiar with anything going on here at all. Also, Draenei music from BC. Yes and no, Evo. The Draenei that we are currently seeing were introduced in BC, but they were a fairly substantial retcon from how Draenei were introduced originally, which was back in Frozen Throne. So, if you've ever seen the Broken in-game, that was what was called the Draenei. The original idea is actually pretty simple. The original idea is that the Eredar and the Draenei were separate races. So the Eredar were the demon lords like Archimonde and Kil'jaeden and all of the Eredar Manara units that we see throughout Frozen Throne and Warcraft 3. Then there were the Draenei, which is the Broken and the Lost Ones, who were a different race and were native to the area and had been fighting against the demon incursion ever since, and had gotten really specialized in stealth and subterfuge in order to be able to survive in such a hostile environment. Possibly a Star, but I have no memory of that. Wouldn't surprise me. Like, everywhere in WoW has been referenced at some point or other in Warcraft 1 or 2 or 3. Or rather, the inverse of that, but you get what I mean. When WoW came along, BC specifically, they decided to change it around so that the Eredar and the Draenei are actually the same species. And then they made the Broken and the Lost Ones a separate thing, which is why I refer to them as such. And they are a fell corruption of Draenei. Go away. I still have my Warcraft 2 manual. I mean, of course I do, right? What are you doing in here? Also, really, really small aside. Obviously, there's a bunch of fighting going on. But everywhere where there's one of the kids to be rescued, there's someone specifically fighting there to defend them. Just a small detail I wanted to share. Like up here. I can't leave without Squiggy. He's trapped. You have to put out the fire. I mean, do I have to? I can just go in. Okay, fine, I'll put out the fire. Be saved, little guy. You did it. Squiggy's okay. What happened to Akama? We'll get back to him. Akama will come back in... Come on, you know what I'm about to say. I've only said it 700,000 times. I'm going to start keeping track, like, as of this moment. Because I'm still saying it. Yes, Akama will be back in Legion. Although, he actually showed up in Pandaria in a quest I kind of don't have the ability to show you anymore. So, there was a quest chain back in Pandaria. It was actually a pretty awesome quest chain. Where you could go and gain green flame for your warlock as a cosmetic thing. So a lot of your spells would be changed to green flame instead of your typical red. Yeah, they didn't get rid of that quest chain. It's just, it's not really feasible to do it on camera, thanks to the drop rate problem. I actually have the title, because I did it back when it was hard. I did it when I was under-geared for it, even. I'm actually proud of that. It was brutal. Anyways, that quest chain was awesome. It showed some interesting insight into several things, not the least of which being what Illidan was doing with his Vial of Eternity and how he was using that to bargain demons to his side, and about how the Council of the Black Harvest was a group of like-minded warlocks who had all participated in some of the major events across WoW's history and been changed by it and warped by it and kind of lent themselves towards affliction, demonology, or destruction as a consequence. It was a really smart way to bring all three specs into an in-lore perspective. And it was at the end of it, one of the demons gives in to the demon within, for lack of a better name it. His name was Kenrathot, I believe. And he is like, ah! And there's this wonderful woman who made a promise to him that if he ever actually lost himself, she would personally banish him so that he couldn't be a threat or an issue. Because, I know this is going to sound strange, but the Warlock player characters aren't actually evil. They're not great, but they're not evil. So she does, in the end, banish him, and then, you know, we move on with our lives. I mention all that because that's all going to show up in... Anyways, it's even green. Look, I've even got a green one. The other reason I mentioned that, though, is during that quest chain, one of the things we do specifically is we go back to the Black Temple. And while we're there, Akama's there. And Akama... It's the only quest in the entire chain I didn't like. Because Akama's like, you, Warlock, please help me with these demons that are invading. And the quest is like, yeah, you could help him, or you could go loot the temple. So we, you know, it's not actually a choice, is what I'm trying to say. You go loot the temple. You essentially betray Akama. And I'm like, what? I was not happy about that.
Without faith, the battle is lost.
The forests are clear of Shadowmoon. Good, I knew you would not fail.
The light will guide your way.
I'm glad to hear the children are safe. They'll remember your heroic deeds for their entire lives. And remember, Draenei live a long time. Until their entire timeline collapses, of course. Wonderful, that should slow down the attack. Our forces should be able to retake the forest quickly. We've managed to pin their Zul inside the observatory, but he's taken many down with him. He has Yrel's sister, Samara. I'm needed to hold the line. Please do whatever you can to save her.
Many depend on you.
There's Ner'zhul, being evil.
No! Samara! Ner'zhul! Stop this! What do you want?
Your blood will grant me the powers of the Dark Star. To Shazgul with you.
Yrel! No!
Tell your prophet that his era is over. Darkness dawns.
Champion, focus your attacks on that thing!
Whoa there.
The others.
Okay. So if you don't remember that, that's the same model as Entropius. A Void Lord, essentially. So that's cool. Almost assuredly, is Miristar. You'll notice that Ner'zhul... Oh.
Ner'zhul is taking the captives to Shazgul.
We need to get our eyes onto the field. Rangari can help us.
It's such a simple thing, but I love the term Rangari. I don't know why. Anyways, yes, considering what was happening with Ner'zhul here, it makes perfect sense that he would fall to the void so hard. But I'm still giving it negatives when we really get there and start covering it.
We welcome your help.
Your aid in recovering the observatory has not gone unnoticed. I grow increasingly impressed at your prowess in battle. Perhaps you could share some of your knowledge with my disciples. They could learn much from a seasoned adventurer as you. I have something for you as thanks for what you've done in the short time you've been here. Perhaps it'll help your garrison get on its feet.
You are the instrument of change.
And right we are.
Something is amiss on this world.
The safety of my people is of the utmost priority. It is likely that Ner'zhul has taken the prisoners to Shazgul, to the southwest. I do not wish to use aggression against him, but he may force my hand. Meet me at the Twilight Glade.
Be just.
Oh yeah, speaking of which, Bragwin was right. You'll notice that there are no more MSQ symbols. Which is a damn shame. It means they backported that specifically for the remix. I'll be curious when they actually start to show up for the first time, then.
Welcome, welcome.
First the Iron Horde, then the Shadowmoon Orcs. Now there's trouble in the south. My brother is a Fey Rider in the Dracorium. He says creatures from the swamp are venturing underlands. What is this world coming to? Would you mind checking in over there?
Be well.
So yeah, no guidance positives for that. It was nice to give those, finally, for Pandaria. We'll get back to it. We'll get back to it. Yeah, we've seen fairy drakes fairy whelps, I guess, actually, for quite a while. They've been in the game since vanilla. Well, okay. You've got some help, don't you, boy? I'm not sure if I ever did off the deeper end, other than just to try it out. Okay, I need you to go away. Oh, jeez. Oh, jeez. Okay. Of course. Oh, my God. Okay, I'm just going to run. Let's pop this. And die. Perfect. Wow. Okay. No, I'm clearly using cheats. I'm going to skip that guy for the moment. We'll come back to that. I'm so sorry, Miristar. What? Oh. Sorry. Wrong place. But we should have enough garrison resources, hypothetically, theoretically, to do our tier 2. Yep.
You have inspired me, Commander. I've seen you and your armies win many hard-fought battles across Draenor.
We just got here.
We now face our greatest challenge as we attempt to unite against the Iron Horde.
Yeah, suddenly post Shadowmoon URL. Sure. Much more human-looking settlement now. No mere palisades here. Yeah, again, just give us a Draenei. No, we've got to have all kinds of people. You know, from Stormwind.
What do you need?
Much better. A lot less bumping into walls, to be sure. There should be enough room to get another building or two.
We've got a lot of work to do.
Yeah, sure. Let's look at those buildings. Let's see. We can make an herb garden, an excavation to get ore, or a fishing shack to get fish. We can also... I guess I should show off some of this crap. So the barracks unlocks missions at level 1. Allows you to have a follower who has the bodyguard trait to accompany you. Basically worthless. And increases your follower limit by 5, which is practically required for endgame. We're not doing any of that. Dwarven Bunker. Level 1. Doubles the chance for you to get quest upgrades to be rewarded. Quest rewards to get upgraded. Level 2, open up work orders for weapons and armor. And level 3, grants you seals to give you rerolls for loot. Again, totally worthless for us. Gnomish Gearworks creates a personal engineer with a powerful invention each day. Also gives you an addition to 5 new devices, and you can create a siege vehicle once per day. Mage Tower. Ogre Waystones, completely worthless. Stables, enables the capturing and training of special mounts to get certain mounts. You also no longer get dazed while riding in Draenor zones, and increases mount speed in Draenor by 20%, which was a lot more useful before we had flying. Oh, I'll talk about that. We also have medium buildings. Barns. Gather that's leatherworking. Gladiator Sanctum. You like PvP, right? Lumber Mill allows you to mark specific trees which give you huge quantities of garrison resources. The Inn. Every day, a random person who is a reference to some other NPC somewhere in WoW will show up and give you a random quest. Trading Post allows you to craft reagents for garrison resources and increases your rep gain. Alchemy Lab. Enchanter Study, Engineering Works, Gem Boutique, Scribes Quarters, Storehouse, Tailoring, Forgery, Tannery, Salvage. All of this is all profession stuff. Except for that. The Storehouse gives you access to your bank and increases your gives you access to your guild bank and gives you access to Void Storage, which is totally still a thing in the game. I swear. We have no reason to do any of this. I'm just kind of showing it off. In fact, no player has any reason to do any of this. And that's kind of the interesting thing. Garrisons, other than the leveling experience, are functionally abandoned content. There's no purpose in doing any of this anymore. Whether it's good or bad is certainly debatable.
Can I help you? Alrighty then.
Don't waste my time.
Let's see. I could gain 150 bonus follower experience. Whoa! Or an item, item level 40 item. Whoa! Let's see. Sure, whatever. Yeah, it was all fairly underwhelming, even at the time, to be quite blunt. Eventually, you get the pet battle thing, which is over here, which... Okay, weird thing. The pet battle thing is useful to this very day, if you are really into pet battles, because there's these things here.
Yes.
This might even be it.
That's enough gabbing for me.
Yeah, so this gives you flawless training stones. They just give experience to a given pet. This hasn't become out of date because the level cap on pets has never changed. It's 25. It's always been 25. So this is still useful to this very day. She also sells them for pet charms, which you get for doing. There's also one to just instantly level a pet to 25. There's also one to upgrade a pet to rare quality. So these are rare candies, put very simply. And these are still useful to this very day. You'll notice, however, I don't actually have to get the pet battle thing in order to gain access to that. So simply having a tier 2 garrison is sufficient to get that benefit, for anybody curious about pet battles. Then there's this guy.
What can I do for you?
He sells stuff, or garrison resources, lots of garrison resources. You can reroll. You could rush orders if you want to complete an order very quickly. He actually gives you these scouting missions, which are dumb, and we're not going to talk about those. Yeah, that's kind of it. Not a lot of usefulness there.
Be careful.
I think that's actually it. I know this is going to sound strange, but we're kind of done talking about the garrison itself. We will continue to show off the relevance of the garrisons per zone as we go, but as far as actually being back here, yeah, that's kind of it.
Where do we stand?
Arkenwake, more recruits arrive at your garrison every hour. We will soon run out of food. Yes, they just keep pouring in from Stormwind. I have made contact with Exarch Akama in hopes of securing rations from Elador, the breadbasket of the valley. He has agreed, provided we supply labor for the harvest. Everyone wins. If you agree with my plan, speak with Foreman Zipfizzle. He has gathered together all the available laborers.
Come on, people, step it up here. We got hungry bellies to fill.
Actually, yeah. The garrison isn't technically completely abandoned content gameplay. It's just like 99% abandoned content gameplay. But in lore, this garrison is gone. It collapsed along with the rest of the timeline. And frankly, it probably collapsed before the timeline collapsed, when the Lightforged swam over it. So yeah, this is all this is gone in lore.
Commander! If you heard the commander, move out! Go, go!
Ah, the little one is the taskmaster.
You'll find our alliance is full of surprises, Exarch. This is the commander I told you about.
Commander, you have built the most impressive garrison. I'm eager to see your men in action.
Yeah.
We will escort this caravan and meet you in Elador, Commander.
From what I understand, after the events of Hellfire Citadel, everyone pulled out of Draenor. What's funny is I'm not sure if they understood how good of an idea that was. They just did it because the Third Legion invasion happened. Okay, let's try this one more time. Just the one. Don't waste your time past one attempt. Or he's dead, and someone else killed him. Yes. Grid and time. You can actually move those around, although I don't think I have that set up right now. Might be an add-on. I do have a mini-map add-on going right now. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, I think coordinates exist in the game. That's a game feature, but I have this memory of one of my friends not being able to tell where he was at because he didn't have any add-ons at all. Don't quote me on that, though. That was a while ago.
Well, hello there, Commander.
You made it, but one of our wagons didn't. Have you seen Murad?
Consider it handled.
Surge to the northwest. We'll be right behind you.
You got it. Although northwest is... Okay, this way. I can do that.
It was an ambush. Shadowmoon orcs. They are circling back for the kill.
We can't fight them. We're just farmers. We don't even have weapons.
Such little faith. Give me your sickle. Watch what is possible with the light.
Do you get it? Sorry, this one doesn't bother me that much, but god damn it. Come on, really? It's even the exact same model. Those are Akama's sickles. The ones he used back in Warcraft 3.
Go now. I will cover the rear.
And in BC.
This way, Commander.
Like, I get it. He grabbed some sickles from a farmer, but then they literally just gave him, you know, the Doom sickles. I forget what they're called. I'm more of a scythe guy myself, but sickles are cool. Okay, take two.
What news from the front? It was an ambush.
God damn it.
Shadowmoon orcs. They are circling back for the kill.
We can't fight them. We're just farmers. We don't even have weapons.
Such little faith. Give me your sickle. Watch what is possible with the light.
Yeah. Akama's commas. My fault for pointing out the stupid thing. He even gives us balk. Damn, dear. Congrats. I've never even seen that drop.
Go now. I will cover the rear.
This way, Commander.
Okay, not gonna stay behind and look at the sickles this time.
Such a joy to see Exarch Akama in action.
Yeah, I've never seen that before.
Look out! Here they come! This way. I remember these hills well.
Are you sure?
Another attack. They must think us an easy target. Ha! We are almost there.
You made it.
Oh, there you are. Now get to work, you slackers!
Nice guy, really.
Our walls are impervious.
I'm keeping the sickles. It reminded me of a lesson so many of us Draenei forget. That the light lives in every farmer as much as every priest. You fight well. I am pleased to call you friend. Your laborers will be safe in Eldar. If you're not convinced, speak to Exarch Kataru.
Exarchakama, these attacks are just the beginning.
The orcs would be fools to attack our fortified cities.
With respect, I disagree. We must not underestimate them. Take me to the Exarch Council.
Okay, you guys go do your politics thing. I'll be over here, actually getting some real work done.
My people can be so much more.
Exarchakama is too cautious. We shouldn't ignore a threat from the Shadowmoon. It's good you're here. Since we arrived on Draenor, I have dedicated myself to recreating the technology we left behind. This large structure here is a defensive ward. It should counter a Shadowmoon advance, provided we power it up. I've prepared a resonant crystal at my workshop to the south. Carry one to the 3 pylons and activate the control panel.
We will forge a new world. This way, friend. The ward is nearly at full power.
Some people dislike this, some people like this, but this is pretty much immediately when the Draenei started just becoming Protoss 2.0. I don't mind it.
We will sink these crystalline resonance emitters into the earth, harnessing the very energies of Draenor itself to power our defenses.
Like, they literally have crystal tech and pylons, for God's sakes. If I could roam for a minute, this is also the first time we really see Draenei architecture properly. Because the overwhelming majority of the stuff in BC was ruins or, like, had been destroyed years ago. So we see a little bit of how they operate. Different types of fences, different types of farming setups, different houses, and of course, some pretty advanced tech, too. I happen to like the aesthetic as well, so it's probably biasing me a little bit. But, hey, check it out. It's the Black Temple. Looks a little different. What's funny is I think it is actually a little bit smaller, but only a little bit. This is Karabor. Nice place. Unfortunately, there is an entire quest chain here. And quest chain is the wrong word. Story arc? We'll go with that. Which isn't really here. So we don't actually do that much in Karabor, unfortunately. It is mostly set dressing, which if that sounds familiar, then you've already heard me talk about Shattrath. Still, it is gorgeous. Oh, my buttons are wrong. Yep, this is going to be our Alliance hub. Cut content! I would say this is... Oh, ignore that. Ignore that. It's fine. It's fine. Everything's fine with the moon. It's fine. It's fine. Ignore it. I would actually say this qualifies for negative territory. Because this is pretty obviously cut content. There's a giant-ass city over here. And we only really go through it once for one quest. Not even quest chain. Just one quest. It's fine. See, there's nothing wrong. It's fine. It's fine. Nothing wrong here. Question is, does this qualify as gameplay or story negative? And I'm legitimately asking. Because I'm kind of torn on this. Like, cut content is a weird category, and it isn't always a negative. Like, for example, I'm not going to give any negatives for Farallon, because Farallon is completely gone, right? There is no Farallon in the game. However, if there's a cut story arc, that's obvious. But if there's a cut zone, which is still in the game, like what we're staring at, what do we do with it? This is not the last time, excuse me, that we'll see this problem in Warlords. I could see both. I could swing both. Because, yeah, this was supposed to be a hub, and this is supposed to be a story. And it is neither. think I could feel that. So, hang on a second. Let's jot down some notes. Yeah, Blade Spire. We'll get there, too. By the way, obviously this game, in my opinion, is gorgeous. But really, and I mean this, I couldn't really say that until Warlords. Don't mistake me, Pandora is beautiful, and Kata has some good zones, and Wrath has some good zones, but Warlords, it's hard to even properly explain it for someone as amateur as me, because I'm not an artist. I'm certainly not a college-trained artist. But there is a level of detail to Warlords that just is a noticeable step up from everything before it, which makes sense. This was one of the bigger engine overhauls they did. And I'm using this grass here as an example because, once again, and I've pointed this out a few times, there's layers and depth to that grass. Yeah, there's actual grass now. And there's actual design to a lot of things. I know, right, Bregwin? They, this tech, so you see this grass right here, that's actually a toggle. That's a graphics tech. So, you've been seeing that kind of grass the whole game, but what you may or may not have noticed is that that toggle just, like, paints crudely grass over an entire zone, right? In some cases, it literally gets in the way because that tech did not exist when that zone was built. But that tech exists here, so they built the zones around it, and so all of a sudden you have different types of grass, like the flowers here. And yeah, this is our first real glimpse into what modern WoW zones are going to be looking like. Because there's more design to it. They actually sat down and thought about what should be where, rather than just, like, smearing stuff all over the place. There's another good example. Different grass, again, down here. And in some places, there's no grass at all, which makes sense. If you've been paying attention, this hasn't been true the whole time. My overall point here I'm trying to reach is that several talented and skilled people sat down and manually painted and placed a lot of this crap. And Warlords is when that really pushed forward for me. So, Warlords might have a lot of visual positives is what I'm trying to say. Sorry. Lord knows it needs them. That. Yeah, going straight from something like BC to something like Warlords is night and day. It literally isn't. That's kind of the point, Dakota. Like, they don't showcase this as well as I'd like, but, I mean, Crystal Tech, right? They're Protoss. They're magically building and crafting, or farming? Harvesting? Seeding? Sowing? I don't know what the right word is. They're magically farming. Let's just use the generic word. They've even started having multiple objects in bins like that, rather than just having, like, a static mesh. It's also a very subtle, quiet point in the background. I've said many, many times that Draenor is a death world, and it is. It makes sense that the orcs would be able to survive because of all of the things I've already talked about many times. It also makes sense that Draenei would survive because the Draenei are very high up on the tech tree. Frankly, if the Draenei didn't have the level of advancement that they did, they'd probably get run over on Draenor. I should probably actually do this stupid quest. Just went off on a tangent there. I do apologize. Start renaming this grass work.
On our homeworld, art, science, magic, and technology were all as one. Ah, such wonders we would build. Now, all I have is spare parts and whatever primitive materials we can cobble together.
Yeah, these people put the Gorian Empire to shame. At least in terms of advancement. Now, of course, the Gorians have them on everything else, resources, numbers, etc.
Go inside and power on the console while I observe.
And yes, I do, Papa Neeks. I'm sorry, can I just gush about this? Look at this. Look at the detailing on this guy. You could tell this guy's a tinkerer, right? Planks of log right next to a forge, which he's smelting crystals in. He's got a hammer right there, a bunch of half-finished projects. He's got a frickin' pencil on his table where he's sketching out schematics. Look at this. Random crystal. Notebook. Someone spent, like, a day making this room right here. God. Yeah, no. Plus to doodads, Jesus. The console thrums with energy and lights up as you near it, as though sensing your presence. Simply touching it brings the crystal defense outside to life. If this is the kind of technology Hataro was able to cobble together, you can only imagine the splendor of the world he came from. No sooner does power rush to it to you hear distant war cries and shouts of alarm. By the way, notice once again, they hide layers by having us go inside something or otherwise hide the camera. Because now we're in a new layer. I know it's an old technique, but I'm amused how often they use it. Sorry, I was trying to get a good shot of that. Hey, Ross. Boom. Look at that. I know that sounds so simple and silly, but like that right there is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I want to say, different spell effects all being combined.
It's not stable, but it's working. Inventively
in order to make it look like this is an actual turret. It's not. That's a cosmetic effect. But they're doing a good job of hiding it. You notice it is also doing damage. It'll be fine. The Chiefs will lose everything, Ross, right? Right. And of course it's using Arcane. It is what the Draenei were best at. And we can't get away from the photon cannon nerfs. God damn it, StarCraft 2. You did so many things right.
Pull back! This new structure is able to tap into a surprising amount of power.
So what you missed there, because of that override bug, which is starting to get annoying, is he says, pull back! Ner'zhul will have to find his sacrifices from elsewhere. Oh, Chargers are playing today. You saved the town. Controls shut down as you approach, but many of the indicators are still blinking frantically. Something seems to be wrong. Hataro is frantically trying to get your attention outside. What?
Bring it down!
Whoa, 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 whoa.
What is going on here? The entire mushroom forest is riled up.
Stay in your swamp, Rangari. I will handle this.
Did you sink resonance crystals in the ground again? You're driving the creatures of the earth berserk. When will you learn that this world is nothing like Argus?
And there's a bit of logic to this. He's an artificer. Functionally, he's arcane mage. She's a Rangari. She's a shaman. Kind of a druid shaman thing, but still. Nice little bit of world building. God, there's There's so much good stuff here. It's so frustrating. Hang on, let me give some negatives before I forget. Oh man, a Rengari Spore Druid? That just sounds cool. Sorry, jotting down notes. That's a good question, Magister. It's okay, the Zanger isn't like the Overgrowth. There's no sentience behind it. Well, you know what? We went for Comet last time. Let's lean hard right instead. I don't know why I said last time. The last time I played Frostmage, I leaned for Comet, because Comet Storm's amazing. Let's try to get over here instead. Let's go for... one of these two. Let's go back.
How goes the fight?
Good work at the gates. The Shadowmoon orcs have been seeking prisoners for some reason. Their aggression helps our cause. Come with me. I'd like to introduce you to the Exarch Council, the Hand of the Prophet. I've been trying to convince the Exarchs to support their cause, but they are, as always, too slow and too cautious to act. Come with me. Perhaps meeting an Alliance hero can sway the Council.
We must not fail.
Sure.
Your laborers are hard at work, Commander. Soon, your garrison will be well stocked with food.
Thanks, game.
What brings you to the Exarchs?
Exarch Othar is a towering, intimidating figure. Yeah, he is taller than me. His eyes bore into you, determining if you're friend or foe. So, you are Arcane Wake, esteemed mage of the Alliance. On behalf of the Exarch Council, I welcome you to Elodor.
We will rise again.
I am calling the Exarch Council in order to hear your petition. None of us doubt this Iron Horde is a threat, but few can agree on what we should do about it. It is up to you and Vindicator Murad to gather them together. Exarch Naele is leader of the Rengari, the Eyes of the Prophet. They are the scouts who silently stalk the corners of Draenor. Seek her out in the enclave northwest of here.
Someday, we will recreate the glory of Argus.
I will need you to also call upon Exarch Hataru. I understand you are helping him with our defenses at the gate. Hataru is our chief artificer. He understands our technology better than anyone. He has been working tirelessly to recreate the glory of the civilization we left behind. He has moved to his workstation outside of the Eladar Dig, our crystal mines located to the southeast. Look for him at the mine entrance.
Never forget.
I will seek out Exarchs Akama and Maladar. Good luck, Commander.
So, Murad's actually from the BC opening cinematic. But he doesn't really have much presence other than being a quest giver on the airship in Wrath, and honestly, that's kind of it. This is the first time Murad was really allowed to do much.
We are the eyes of the Prophet.
Arkenwake, you've only just arrived, but already your name is the talk of Elador. I will gladly support your cause for the Exarch Council. It has always been my opinion that Draenei need to get out and be proactive in our world. But first, I need your help with something.
The Draenei shall overcome.
It is our mission as Rengari to explore and understand this world. Around you is the Umberfen. Many Draenei lost their lives when we first discovered this place. The volatile spores burst whenever we approached, but we watched and we learned. Around the swamp you'll notice shimmer throoms, distinguished by orange glow caps. This is a reference to a quest in BC.
Fight on your own terms.
Okay. I like references to BC. Wait, no I don't! I don't like those at all!
The Naru have not forgotten us.
The Exarch seem to trust you. Are you venturing into the Umberfen? The spore bats in this area are usually docile, but something's got them all riled up. When they attack, their stingers wrap around exposed limbs. I've seen them tear through reinforced leather like it was paper. How do they work, I wonder? Could you bring me back a stinger? I would love to study it.
Remember, the lessons
sure. Yeah, last I checked, he is in fact related by blood to Garona, but that's kind of been retconned at this point. And honestly, good. I'm just gonna say that as bluntly as I can. That does sound like an interesting idea, Magister. Okay. Oh, they're there. Yeah. Yeah, that's... I would say, isn't Pandaria Classic the next one? Which is interesting to think about. I wonder how popular it will be. Season of Discovery was really cool in Season 1. I have been told by people actually participating in it that it is no longer that cool. Yep, Yrel has this dark secret which she must keep hidden from all the others. At no point in time can anyone learn the horrible, horrible truth that she secretly likes Pokemon. No one must know that Pikachu is total Garbo tier, and no one actually likes Pikachu. Yrel knows this truth, and she will carry it to her grave. I don't know what that accent is, don't ask. Look, nobody likes Pikachu, okay? I'm sorry. He was always a crap rat. With junk stats. He's not even cute. If we were doing another cute run, cute challenge in Pokemon, I would disallow Pikachu. Because he's not cute. Now, Pichu, sure. Or Mimikyu. Yeah, okay. I'll give you that one. Pikachu? Ugh. Garbo tier. Actually, I do legitimately think that Fat Pikachu was cute, unironically. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, don't worry about it. But for those of you who do, you know I'm right. I know, Asmira Star. I was just debating how to give positives to that. You really? Takoda? That's cool. Clefairy's fine, I guess. I don't know. I also am not a big fan of Jigglypuff, I'll admit that. You know what, here. I just for you. Just for you guys. Just for you. I mean, Eevee is just a better mascot top to bottom. Literally. I have no idea why that was ever in debate. Okay, so. I'm just going to do this the boring way. Because it's cheaper and easier. Because I'm secretly a mega corporation. There we go. Okay, so we're just gonna do this really quick. Perfect. Okay, so you see this? This is modern Pikachu, okay? He sucks. He's terrible. He's the worst. Here's also modern Pikachu. Again, total garbage. No. The one true Pikachu is the original Pikachu, who was actually freaking adorable. Here's another shot of him. This is what I mean when I say Fat Pikachu, because back in the day, he was actually adorable. Like, this is what Pikachu started out looking like. He was so cute! Look at him! He's like, ah, ah. And they ruined him! They ruined him! Ah! Ah! Look at that. Look at that. Okay, we're done. We're done.
Arcanon Poros.
Most Zeranaui avoid Umberfen, but we Rengari seem drawn to the most dangerous places. That's where you really learn how the world works.
Favor the road.
Oh, would you look at that? The entire tentacle is barbed. Ugh, no wonder the wounds they inflict tend to get infected. We can learn something from this. Wonder if we should start equipping ourselves with whips.
Remain vigilant.
I mean, no, that's exactly why they did it, Pillars of Snow. But I agree with you. It was a mistake. They should have gone the Pixar route. Or the Star Wars route, if you prefer. It is possible to anthropomorphize something that is not strictly humanoid. In fact, it's almost always cuter if you do that. Right? BB, whatever his name is, from the sequel trilogy. The best part about the sequel trilogy. He's a stupid ball with, like, a rotating head and, like, a little lighter. And yet they managed to make him emote plenty. It is BB-8, I was right. Or Wall-E, the Pixar equivalent, you know? Hell. Eva from Wall-E is another example of that. But no. No, let's make him uglier.
We must learn the secrets.
Be careful with those. Hand them here. Wonderful. If my Rengari bury these around the perimeter, the Shadowmoon are in for a nasty surprise if they dare attack us again. Draenor is a hostile world, but if we take the time to learn and understand it, we can turn it to our advantage. I will finish up here and meet with the council shortly. I'll be sure to back your proposal.
Travel light and move quickly.
Oh, the droid from Andor. I don't remember his name, but... Would I call R2-D2 cute? Getting there? Is how I think I would answer that. Not quite there, but definitely like the beginnings of where that started, right? And again, R2-D2 is very well animated. You can pretty much immediately tell what's going on with R2-D2 based on the tone of his beeps and based on how he's moving, right? He is very well characterized for someone who has no lines of dialogue, no face, and no arms to speak of. But no, we gotta make Pikachu ugly. Alright.
We have lost so much.
Ah, Archangel, I suspected I would see you again soon. I am willing to speak on your behalf at the council, but an emergency situation has come up.
The Draenei will rebuild.
Burrowing creatures known as Goron have tunneled into our crystal mines. And judging from our experience at the gates, I suspect my own experimental crystal is whipping them into a frenzy. Whoops. Enter the Elidor dig to the north and disable the malfunctioning resonance crystal. Be careful, my earthworks report the mine is crawling with those beasts.
We will forge a new world.
That's true, Von Valkenstein. Very true. You must be the mage that so impressed the Exar Kitaro. Can you help? The Illidar dig behind me is so overrun by strange stone creatures. These so-called Goron devour minerals, metabolize them, and grow crystalline structures on their arms and back. Like most of the wildlife in this world, they completely baffle us. Please slay as many as you can and get their scales for me, while protecting our workers and aiding our research. We must gather additional minerals. I'm telling you, we're just playing Protoss at this point. Heimerdinger. Heimerdinger. No, I didn't actually find Heimerdinger cute. Interesting as a character, but cute is not where I would go with that. Sorry, to realize who we're talking about. What about his pet? His pet must die. I don't remember his pet. I'm sorry. Who was his pet? Yep, there's the malfunctioning resonance crystal. Pretty much the problem with this. Way to be, dude. Fluffy creature with horns. If only I had a picture. Something I could look at. Something I could gaze upon. And use my ocular vessels in order to process. Alas, such a thing is completely beyond the capacity of modern society. Eh, whatever, let's just pop this. Okay. Shut that stupid thing down while we're here. You know one thing I like about Frost Mage, which makes it infinitely superior to Fire Mage? I have no idea. I haven't played Fire Mage. But I do like this, legitimately. I haven't talked this out yet, but some of Frost, a decent amount of Frost, is proc-based. My Ice Lance is pathetic, unless I get a proc. My Flurry has a huge cooldown, unless I get a proc, and stuff like that, right? But the proc that makes Ice Lance do more damage can be made happen by Flurry. So if I do Flurry and then Ice Lance, I basically create a proc. I can also create procs off of Frostbolt, but that's random. But I can also provoke a proc by Frozen Orb. And Frozen Orb also has a chance to create a proc, too. So, chance and guarantee. And all of that feeds into Ice Lance. And Ice Lance also benefits from the building of the icicles we're doing the whole time. That gnome's name is Pie Machine. I just felt it important that you know that. In other words, I'm not completely at the mercy of, hang on, where is he? I'm not completely at the mercy of randomness. I have a little bit of control over it, which, if that sounds familiar, it probably sounds a lot like what Dancer does so well over on FF14. Okay, that is pretty cute. I'll give you that, Evo. You win. You win. We'll try out fire later, don't worry.
The Naru have not forgotten us. Do not lose
He
faith.
draws a loop and peers intently at the scales. Unreal, the crystalline matrix is flawless, as if produced one of our forges. I wish we could hook these creatures up to our machinery, but I suspect the Exarch would take issue with that.
May your days be long and
Oh my
your
God.
hardships.
My people can be so much more.
Excellent. I will send some peacekeepers to quell any remaining problems. Exarch Naela may be right. Perhaps I'm too aggressive in adapting our technology. Still, I will never quit. Our civilization must move forward.
The Draenei will rebuild.
The council's almost assembled. Ulthar, myself, Hataru, and Naela are ready. Only Maladar remains. He has not been himself since his return from his capture at the hands of the Iron Horde. But Murad was able to track him down.
Light. Exarch Hataru, how do you plan to vote with the council?
This alliance from another world intrigues me. I would give them our full support.
You would risk everything we have built. I cannot agree.
Yeah, by the way, Akama is against us here. Interesting to think about. Let's go with mirror image.
I would forfeit my own soul to protect my people.
Arkandwick, my alliance friend from Tanan. I have not forgotten my debt to you. I will do everything in my power to convince the council to support you in every way possible. However, I have grave concerns about our safety here.
There is no turning back now.
Nothing is the same since I returned. There's always whispering. Everywhere whispering. Murad cannot see it, but there are traces of fell energy. We have been infiltrated. I must attend to the Exarch Council, but I need you to investigate. Follow traces of fell. I will illuminate them. If there are traitors in our midst, they will have to have some type of hideout. Find it. I will wait for you with the other Exarchs.
Follow the trail. Find our hidden foe.
So they don't say this here, but the implication is right here. This is not the first time they've had to deal with fell infiltrators. In fact, that's been a regular thing of theirs for about 22,000 years. Yeah, I know, that's a nonsense period of time, but it's still true. It's such a long-standing thing that there are entire generations of Draenei. Where are you going, mate? Nowhere. Who were born before knowing that, you know, there was a time before they had to be fleeing from the Fell. A flesh-bound... It's always flesh! Bound book lies on an unholy altar. Your skin crawls. Aladar was right. You set the book ablaze, but not before noting its contents. It was dedicated towards enchanting weapons with fell energy. Looked as though the goal was to ensnare the victim's soul. The Exarchs must be warned. Arcane might actually be the highest skill ceiling spec in the game right now. Don't quote me on that. There might be something worse.
This is how he was found. Murdered.
Exarch Nael, weren't you overheard arguing with Hataru earlier?
We always argue. That doesn't mean I killed him.
The weapon is tainted with fell energy.
You seem to know an awful lot about the tools of our enemy.
It is my duty to know. Allow me to speak with the body.
I forbid it. He has suffered enough.
I agree. Stand down, Exarch. Enough damage has been done.
So that's Hataru. He's dead. Interesting.
I can hear the souls of the dead.
He's dead. Exarch is dead. His body discovered moments ago. Stabbed in the back. The weapon that killed him was fell. Tell me everything you know. We describe what we found. Yes, the traitors wanted to capture his soul. Someone wants something he knows, dead or alive. He must act at once.
Tradition binds my people.
This was a betrayal from within. There is no other explanation for it. None of the Exarchs trust each other now, especially me. But Ulthar and Akama condemn their laws. We've got to rout the traitor, and the only way to do it is to speak to the corpse. Join me outside the altar. Soulbinder Niami and I will perform an exorcism and try to save his soul. Maybe learn who did this to him. Do you trust me, Arcane Wake? Now, this is fascinating. If you'll forgive me for jumping in here, this is Maladar. Anybody who knows who that is knows this guy was our enemy back in BC. He was a dungeon boss. We killed his ass. So, him being the NPC flat out doing this here, and being the soul speaker and blah, 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 it's interesting. They're not fully playing with it. It's more like a direct subversion. Because, by all accounts, the guy who is the most trustworthy is this dude.
Never. There is a rat among us. I will find out who.
A good goal to prep for War Within? Okay. Do you like getting cosmetics for your dragon mounts? Because there's a bunch of sources of those all across Dragonflight. We are currently several decades in the past, Czar. It's actually slightly more complicated than that, but that's the simple answer. It looks like I don't have the add-on on right now. There's actually an add-on that helps keep track of it. It's whatever. Yeah, this is alternate Maladar. Also, I know you're not going to remember, but do me a favor. Remember the name Soulbinder Niami. She's going to show up later.
We must preserve the sanctity of the fallen.
Steel energies are even now devouring his soul. We must act quickly. Soulbinder Niami will anchor his spirit to this realm while I exorcise the demons assaulting him. With luck, we'll find out who murdered him. It'll be up to you to destroy it as I unleash it. Are you ready?
I will be unable to help once the ritual begins. Stay focused.
The body is ready, Exarch. I will anchor his...
Golad, Malak, Velshiva. Follow the sound of my voice, spirit. Lend your sight to the living. Golad, Malak, Velshiva.
Begone, Exarch! This one, and all he knows, belongs to us now.
You may have claimed his body, but his immortal soul is mine to protect. Golad, Malak, Velshiva! Golad, Malak, Velshiva!
Exarch! They're tearing his soul apart! We must stop this!
Not until we know. We must know who did this to him. Exarch, Malak, Talomai, Hataru, come to the light.
And yeah, remember, he's a death priest, and the Draenei take death priests very seriously.
The wanted. Wanted what, Hataru? The codes to Akindun? Your security wards?
Maladar, we're losing him!
The Exarch's orders. Who, Hataru? Who had you killed? Soulbinder. What happened? Why did you stop it?
We were about to lose him. You saw him. He called out to me for help. His spirit is safe now.
He mentioned an Exarch. A betrayal from within the council itself. Naomi, take the body to Akindun and lay it to rest. The dead speak to those who listen.
One of the 5 Exarchs is dead, and another is a traitor. Dark times. We'll end this here and now. Can I count on you for one final task?
Remember,
We must give the traitor no place to hide. I have a focusing lens that'll illuminate cloaked fell energy. If placed at a high point, it'll be a beacon, lighting up anyone who reeks of fell taint. There's a prayer circle atop the Exarch's rise that'll serve our purpose. Plant the lens. If you reveal anything, deal with it.
Never hesitate to do what is right.
Ah, it's you. Trust me, friend. I will handle this. You may go.
So, how many of you caught on to this one? It's admittedly kind of amusing because most people probably didn't, because the stuff with Nyami is a little more obvious, but this guy's name is Othar.
What is that? Is that Maladar's work? No, no. You don't need to do that. He is not to be trusted. Ah! Damn him! I thought I'd gotten rid of Maladar when I gave him up to the Iron Horde. Yes, I had Ataru killed, and you are next! I am not the traitor here! It was the false prophet Velen who betrayed our people! I serve our true master now! The Legion whose call I once denied! My lord Sargeras will scorch this pathetic world as he has countless others. I have sworn the sacrament. I have taken my new name, Sokrathar!
Sokrathar was a major quest chain boss back in BC. We even showed him off. Also, Darren DePaul, being awesome. And the dude's name was Othar. Sokrathar.
There are others at my command, in Shatrath and Aukendoom. Enough! When next we meet, it will be on my terms. Tell the remaining Exarchs to number their days.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, Sokrathar threw a guild invite on me. That's how desperate he was to defeat me. It's probably as good as it's going to get anytime soon, Auralia. I think it's been better than it is right now. But overall, I haven't given it any particular positives or negatives yet. That's still something I've been chewing on. Especially since I've been bouncing around a lot between characters and thus expansions. I've also noticed it varies, not just from expansion to expansion, but from dungeon to dungeon.
We must preserve the sanctity of the fallen.
The Exarch listens to your tale, his face contorting into concern, grief, and finally anger. So, Othar lost his way. Sokrathar, he calls himself now. At last we have our answer. I fear my capture at the hands of the Iron Horde was his doing. There may be other traitors among us. I must hurry back to Aukendoom. In the meantime, I believe the Exarchs owe you a decision.
There is no turning back now.
None can hide from the Rangari.
Only 3 members remain of the Exarch Council, but we are all deeply indebted to you. The vote is unanimous. Your alliance will have our full support on Draenor. We're going to place a Draenei representative under your direct command. 3 potential candidates are here in the courtyard. Speak with them. Choose who you want. We will dispatch them to their garrison immediately.
Know your enemy.
So, a Vindicator, an Artificer, or a Rengari. Now, this mostly only affects mission board stuff, but I always kind of like the fact that they gave us this little choice here. I also want to say that this story arc, once again, makes way more sense if we're chopped off and cut off from any reinforcements or resupply. Us fighting this hard to get the Draenei on our side and support us makes a lot more sense if we literally need them to do things like eat. In fact, if you remember, the specific thing that started this quest chain was, we have no food. Really? Is Miristar? I didn't actually know that part. I think I would choose a Rengari if this is like a single-player RPG. Artificers are useful. Warriors are helpful. But a Rengari is someone who's going to know the wilds and terrible, terrible landscape that is Draenor. We need an expert on the land here.
Chronakai Christor.
I choose you.
Be well.
Yeah, like I said, Aurelia, in my experience, it literally varies from dungeon to dungeon. It's kind of wild.
This is such a puzzling world.
Excellent choice. We'll send your pick directly to your garrison. Now, about the supplies you requested.
The Draenei shall overcome.
Your laborers below have finished with their harvest and are ready to cart the supplies back to your garrison. Don't worry about the safety of the caravan this time. I'll dispatch a Rengari detail to shadow them. The Exarchs will always watch over you. Your supplies should be waiting for you when you return. Good luck with your campaign.
Know your enemy.
I'm almost positive I have the mirror. Yeah, there it is. Reveal convergent points between Draenor and Outland. Requires level 40. That's funny. I mean, I'm with you, Lord Harriman. Don't mistake me. There's a bit of pragmatism, and there's a bit of duh in us helping out with the Draenei problem. Especially considering we've already had a personal bond with Maladar. And remember, he's the individual who specifically asks for our help in this matter. So, yeah, of course we got his back. So if you wonder how much damage that little squad does, that's the difference right there. Oh my god, Papa Neeks. Yeah, no spoilers, Raleigh. I still haven't done those. Yeah, I know. Make fun. I mean, it really would be funny. I wouldn't mind the Void Talon, but like, you know...
Just say the word, Commander.
Commander, Zip has arrived with your laborers in tow a few moments ago. We've got a huge surplus of food now and promises of more where that came from. Apparently the Draenei threw in some other resources. Well, very good work, sir. What should we build next?
I'll call in a few favors.
Nothing. We're never building anything. No, I completely gave up on the Void Talon years ago. I did make several concerted efforts to get it, and then I just walked away from it. Some mounts just aren't happening, you know. I'll get that stupid Fell cycle before I get the Void Talon.
Ora teramus. We will endure.
Yeah. It is weird to think about. Logically speaking, and it's interesting they never even bothered with this, the odds of us meeting ourselves in alternate Draenor is really high. Like, near certainty, actually. Now, that would be funny. Draenei only quest, you get out here, you find yourself, and your other self has given in to becoming an Eridar. Thrall was actually born on Azeroth, but his parents came through in the First War. And most came through during the First War. I think I'm actually going to pause here. I've only got 10 minutes left. I don't think I can finish this story arc in 10 minutes. When we get back, we'll hopefully be able to finish up Shadowmoon. We've only got the 2 quest arcs left, so I think we'll manage it. But either way, I will see you guys after the break.